In a time of deep national division, the United States Supreme Court has delivered a series of unanimous 9-0 rulings on major constitutional issues. This rare unity from a bench often seen as divided is sending shockwaves through the legal and political landscape. These decisions, ranging from free speech to presidential power, are reshaping the rules that govern our society. When the court speaks with one voice, it sends a clear message about the core principles of the law. As we explore these pivotal cases, we'll see how this consensus is quietly but powerfully reshaping the legal bedrock of the United States. Let's break down what this newfound unity means for the nation and why it matters now more than ever. Americans are used to seeing the Supreme Court as divided, with 5-4 or 6-3 rulings dominating headlines. But while split decisions grab attention, much of the court's work is actually resolved with broad or unanimous agreement. A 9-0 ruling carries immense legal and moral authority, signaling that the law, not politics, drives the outcome. This recent wave of unanimity challenges the narrative of a hopelessly polarized institution. Legal experts note that these decisions reinforce the court's legitimacy and build public trust in its impartiality. In a time of political partisanship, unanimous rulings provide stability and clear legal guardrails for everyone. For businesses and individuals, this clarity is invaluable, helping them understand their rights and obligations. The court's ability to speak with one voice reaffirms its role as the ultimate guardian of the Constitution. One of the most significant unanimous decisions in recent Supreme Court history came in NRA versus Vullo, a case that has far-reaching implications for free speech and the limits of government power in America. At its core, this case asked whether government officials can pressure or threaten private companies to sever ties with organizations they politically disagree with, raising fundamental questions about the boundaries between government influence and private enterprise. The National Rifle Association, or NRA, alleged that New York's top financial regulator, Maria Vullo, abused her regulatory authority by urging banks and insurance companies to stop doing business with the NRA, not because of any illegal activity, but solely due to the group's controversial political stance on gun rights. The Supreme Court, in a rare and powerful 9-0 decision, agreed that if these allegations were true, such actions could amount to unconstitutional government coercion and a direct violation of the First Amendment's protection of free speech and association. Writing for the court, Justice Sotomayor's opinion drew a clear and important line: government officials cannot use their official power to punish, intimidate, or suppress speech simply because they disagree with the views being expressed, no matter how unpopular those views may be. The ruling allows the NRA's lawsuit against New York to move forward, sending a strong and unmistakable message that free speech protections apply to all groups, regardless of their popularity or political stance, and that government cannot play favorites or retaliate against its critics. While this decision did not resolve the underlying dispute, it set a vital legal standard for what counts as unconstitutional government coercion, clarifying the rules for future cases involving government pressure on private businesses. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's decision serves as a crucial check on government power, ensuring that officials cannot silence their opponents or chill free expression by targeting the business relationships that organizations depend on to survive and operate in a free society. The Vullo ruling's impact goes far beyond the NRA. It establishes a strong legal shield for anyone facing government pressure over their views, protecting advocacy groups, businesses, media, and citizens alike. For companies, it clarifies that they shouldn't be forced to act as enforcers of a political agenda. The decision also strengthens protections for the press, making it clear that officials can't threaten media organizations for unfavorable coverage. Legal analysts say this precedent gives news outlets and businesses a powerful tool to resist government intimidation. Ultimately, the ruling safeguards the free exchange of ideas essential to democracy. By affirming that the First Amendment prohibits such coercion, the court keeps the marketplace of ideas open to all. This ensures the public can stay informed, form opinions, and hold leaders accountable. Another major case before the Supreme Court asks, what are the limits of a president's authority to impose tariffs on foreign goods? The dispute centers on whether a president can declare a national emergency and use that to unilaterally impose tariffs, a power the Constitution gives to Congress. This challenge arose from tariffs imposed during the Trump administration, which cited national security to bypass Congress. Supporters argue the president needs flexibility to protect American industries, while critics say this is an overreach that undermines Congress's constitutional role. The legal arguments are sharp. Does the International Emergency Economic Powers Act allow the president to tax imports, or is that Congress's job? The court's decision will have lasting implications for the balance of power between the president and Congress. The challenge to presidential tariff authority is deeply rooted in the foundational principle of separated powers, a cornerstone of the American constitutional system. At its heart, this case is about who gets to make the big decisions that affect the nation's economy and its place in the world. Legal scholars often point to the landmark 1952 steel seizure case, where the Supreme Court ruled that President Truman could not seize control of the nation's steel mills without explicit approval from Congress. This historic decision reinforced the idea that the president's powers are not unlimited, especially when it comes to actions that have sweeping economic consequences. Allowing a president to impose tariffs simply by declaring an economic emergency could set a dangerous precedent, effectively granting the executive branch too much unilateral control over trade policy. This would blur the lines between the branches of government, undermining the careful balance the Constitution was designed to protect. For businesses, investors, and America's international partners, predictability and stability are essential. If a single individual can impose sweeping tariffs by decree, it injects uncertainty into global markets and makes it harder for companies to plan for the future. International relationships could be strained, and the ripple effects could be felt across the world economy. A Supreme Court ruling that limits presidential power in this area would reaffirm Congress's constitutional role in shaping trade policy. It would restore a vital check on executive authority, ensuring that no president can act alone when it comes to decisions that impact millions of Americans and the global economy. Those challenging the tariffs are hoping for a strong, perhaps even unanimous decision from the court. Such a ruling would send a clear and powerful message about the enduring importance of the separation of powers in American government. A decision in favor of limiting executive authority would defend the constitutional structure, making it clear that no president can bypass Congress on matters as significant as trade. It would set a precedent for future administrations, safeguarding the balance of power. Ultimately, the outcome of this case will not only shape American trade policy, but also define the balance of power between the branches of government for years to come, influencing how the United States navigates its economic future on the world stage. The Vullo case is part of a broader pattern of Supreme Court consensus. Recently, the court issued 6 major decisions in one day, 5 of them unanimous, on issues from gun manufacturer liability to employment discrimination. This unity shows the justices can find common ground even on divisive topics, challenging the idea that the court is just another political battleground. Unanimous rulings provide clear, stable guidance for lower courts, government agencies, and the public. The justices' shared commitment to the rule of law strengthens the court's legitimacy and ensures justice is grounded in principle, not politics. These decisions clarify key areas of law, from religious freedoms to workplace rights. The wave of consensus demonstrates a court working to maintain legal stability and uphold constitutional values. In recent years, the Supreme Court has issued a series of unanimous decisions that have provided robust protections for both religious freedom and the principle of equality under the law. These rulings highlight the court's ongoing commitment to ensuring that all Americans, regardless of their faith or beliefs, are treated fairly and justly within our legal system. For example, in the landmark case of Catholic Charities Bureau versus Wisconsin, the court ruled that states cannot deny religious organizations the same benefits that are available to other groups. This decision reinforced important protections for faith-based organizations, ensuring they are not excluded from public programs or funding simply because of their religious identity. The ruling sends a clear message that religious groups have the same rights and opportunities as secular organizations when it comes to participating in public life. In another significant case involving Smith & Wesson, the justices unanimously rejected an attempt to hold gun manufacturers liable for crimes committed with their products. By upholding federal law, the court emphasized the importance of following established legal standards and not imposing new liabilities that could have far-reaching consequences for businesses and individuals alike. The court also addressed workplace equality by clarifying that reverse discrimination claims under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act are to be treated the same as any other discrimination claims. This ensures that all employees, regardless of their background, are protected equally under federal law, and that fairness in the workplace remains a top priority. Collectively, These rulings demonstrate the justices' shared commitment to upholding the Constitution and protecting the fundamental freedoms that define American society. They show that, even in a time of political polarization, the court can find common ground on essential legal principles. While it's true that disagreements remain on some of the nation's most contentious issues, these unanimous decisions reveal that the court often unites to provide clear, consistent guidance on core legal questions that affect millions of Americans. This unity among the justices challenges the common narrative of a hopelessly divided court. Instead, it reinforces the Supreme Court's vital role as a pillar of American democracy, offering stability and clarity in times of uncertainty. Through these decisions, the Supreme Court's consensus is actively shaping the rights and responsibilities of all Americans, ensuring that the principles of equality and freedom remain at the heart of our nation's laws and values. The Supreme Court's recent wave of 9-0 decisions sends a reassuring message in uncertain times. Despite ideological differences, the justices share a deep commitment to the Constitution's foundational principles. By speaking with one voice on issues like free speech, separation of powers, and religious liberty, the court provides clarity and stability. These unanimous rulings check government overreach and protect the rights of all Americans. As citizens, it's important to look beyond headlines of division and recognize the court's significant work through consensus. Much of the court's work is a collaborative process aimed at faithfully interpreting the law. This trend of unanimity is a testament to the enduring strength of our judicial institutions and their ability to rise above partisanship. The court's unity in defending the Constitution reminds us all to stay informed and engaged in preserving our fundamental values.